What is going on YouTube? My name is Dom and welcome to the video. Now this is a new format for me. I do apologize, there's no face cam. I'm just trying out a different format. Please let me know what you guys think of it down in the comment section below. And also if you are new, go ahead and subscribe and like the video if you do enjoy it. So anyway, in this video today, what I wanted to do was to dive into some samurai tactics and how they could possibly apply to modern day gaming and life in general, pretty much, or any sort of competition or anything like that. Now the book I'm going to be referencing today is called The Book of Five Rings. It's by Miyamoto Musashi, who is probably the most badass samurai to have ever lived. He's reputedly killed over 60 something people in one-on-one combat, and he killed his first person at the age of 13. So this guy's pretty much the Spartan of feudal Japan. Now before you go and think, oh, how could samurai tactics fighting with a sword be comparable to today? Well, a lot of the principles and things that Musashi is going to touch on are going to be universal principles, and there is a common quote that he likes to repeat, which is know one thing, know 10,000 things, which means that you understand these core concepts, you can understand so many things that are drawn from them. But anyway, let's go ahead and start. Now this book is, of course, The Book of Five Rings, and it's broken up into 5 parts, each for a different purpose. The first one I'm going to be talking about is the Earth Scroll, which is the first part in his book, and I hope to talk about the other ones in future videos. The Earth Scroll has an emphasis on practicality. It's mostly about grounded everyday things. He uses the most appropriate tools for the most appropriate job, and I quote him as saying, "Have no fondness for any particular weapon, but seek that which is appropriate for any situation." So basically what he's saying, and how we could apply this to today, if you're playing Ghost Recon, for example, and you're on a wide open map, a sniper rifle might do you very well because it has long ranges. If you're playing in close, use a close range weapon. These are just very simple inferences to draw from this. Basically use whatever weapon is going to work for that situation, whichever is going to work best. However, there is another part of this, and it's something that I have often preached, and I might have been wrong in saying so, that I always say use what you're comfortable with, no matter the situation. And I myself, for example, am comfortable with sniper rifles, so a lot of times in close range situations I will try to snipe somebody when it's probably not the best thing to do. He says that likes and dislikes for weapons is actually a very bad thing to have, because then you're going to prefer something that may be inadequate in a given situation, and if you don't practice with the weapons you don't like, you're going to miss out on those opportunities, and when those weapons are needed, you're going to suck with them, or you're just not going to pick them in the first place. Now the second idea that he mentions, use all your tools before you die. No warrior should be willing to die with his swords at his side, is what he says. Now how I take this is, well, often a trap that I'll fall into is I'll die and I'll have a bunch of flashbangs or grenades or ammunition that I never got to use. So in my mind, this is exactly how it sounds. Use your grenades, use your flashbangs, use your drones, use whatever you have before you die. You shouldn't die before you make use of everything that you have. Now the third part that he brings up is going to be about spirit. Now spirit in this sense, he means more as motivation, more of a driving force rather than, a celestial soul or anything like that. He says that your spirit should be to win with whatever is at your disposal, gain victory by any means. Now this attitude is very different from a lot of things that we hear. When you're not given the situation that you would prefer, maybe your enemy outguns you in certain areas, maybe your enemy has better equipment than you do. Oftentimes we resort to bitching and complaining and getting irritated, when in fact our spirit should be to conquer them with whatever we have, even if we have sticks and stones. These are things that he talks about. Your spirit should be to win with whatever you have, not just with the situation you're given. Now these concepts put together are difficult because it requires us to use things that we're uncomfortable with and to perform well with those things that we're uncomfortable with. But as Musashi says, it will be hard at first, but everything is hard at first. Now that's such a commonsensical, such an intuitive thing to say and think that we often overlook it. We often forget that when trying new things, it will be difficult at first. No one picks up anything right off the bat. So the point is to practice with it unremittingly and to become competent with it and to feel good using it and to understand it. Now his final point that he mentions in this Earth Scroll is going to be about rhythm. Now rhythm in this sense is really, it's really arbitrary. It's something, you know, it's one of those concepts that's hard to put into words. It's kind of like if you had to describe, you know, flavor to somebody who can't taste. It's one of those types of things. But basically, I think we all understand what this is. It's flow, right? So when you get into a game and you really understand how it works, you understand the patterns that your enemy is taking, the paths that they're taking, the patterns that they're performing, you can exploit those things using rhythm, and it just kind of flows naturally. You know when it happens and you know when it doesn't, but what it exactly is hard to describe. Now I'm going to hopefully get into another text later on down the line, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, which he goes more into depth about detecting rhythm and things like that, but that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it with Musashi. And then finally, he finishes off the chapter with some basic rules for if you want to understand the practice further. Now, some of these rules I don't feel are applicable to modern day, so I'm going to head to not read those ones, and I'll only read out the ones that I believe are important and significant. So the first one is going to be practice and cultivate the science. It's basically just practice over and over and over again. Understand the harm and benefit in everything. So this would be to like understand the pros and cons of every action and everything that you do. So how are your actions playing out to the fullest extent? It's basically just mindfulness of what you're doing. Then learn to see everything accurately. This is important because oftentimes we put our own biases and our own perspectives on a situation, and we kind of color it that way, when in reality we should just learn to see everything as it is. And that leads me into the next point, which is become aware of what is not obvious. Now this is super hard, and it's something that you really have to experience as well, but there's times where you understand something so well that you can predict somebody's movements before they even happen, and that would be something that's not obvious. Or you can see something behind the curtain, if you will, because you've done it so many times that you just understand what's going on. Then be careful even in small matters. So this is an important point, I feel, because Musashi stresses that he likes to live his samurai lifestyle, his warrior lifestyle all the time, and he acts, you know, as he would in a fight. He acts like that normal everyday life. He doesn't want to have a dichotomy of two different personalities interacting at the same time. So you want to maintain that same discipline, that same mindset, even in everyday life and even in small things. Don't slacken. Then do not do anything useless. This is his final rule, and that is something that really kicks me in the nuts, and I'm sure it does for everybody else out there. Do not do anything that is useless. We know we do tons of things that are useless every day that don't help us in any significant way, and just to cut those out and try to focus on things that are useful and helpful. Now this you can take into the battlefield as well. When you're moving, is your movement helping you win a situation? Is it helping you get an advantage? If you are standing still, is that helping you as well? But these are all things to think about and look at, and please let me know what you guys thought of this video down in the comment section below. I look forward to doing the rest of this book and hopefully some other things as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.